This video is dedicated to my dog, Chase. He was born on April 29th in the year 2015, and we adopted him, I want to say December 3rd of 2015, and sadly, he passed away this year on December 22nd. Now, Chase, he was an American Cocker Spaniel. He was awesome. I'll put some pictures on the screen, and I waited a little bit to make this video because I felt like I wanted to share with my YouTube channel because he played such an important role in it, whether you guys realize or not. If you go back to so many of my older videos, you'll see him barking in the background and me yelling at him to stop, or him scratching my door or something while I'm recording, and I'd get so mad. But to the core, he was an awesome dog. Now, it was really tough when we put him down, and I'll explain why that happened and how this impacted me, because I think it's one of the most unexplainable things in the world, losing someone, whether it's a person, a thing, an animal, because it's not a matter of missing them in the same way that you miss an ex-girlfriend or an ex-boyfriend or someone who used to be in your life. It's a matter of no matter what you do, that will never be the same. Not even a 1% chance. It is literally not possible. Now, Chase, he was a fighter. He was pretty healthy for 6 years maybe when we got him. And then things started to go south. He fell down the stairs and he suffered a very bad spine injury, and he had to get surgery for that. So he got surgery for that, and the outcome was he was fine. He was able to walk again. He had a pretty weak back leg, but other than that, he was pretty much good to go. He was still the same joyful dog that he always was, but the core difference now is that he wasn't allowed to come upstairs. And out of privacy for the rest of my family, I'm not going to go into too much detail, but for some context, my mom was definitely Chase's favorite. It was absolutely, undisputed. It's not even close. But he'd sleep in my mom's bed with her every single night, and he couldn't do that anymore because he couldn't walk up the stairs, and we didn't want to risk him getting hurt again by jumping on the bed or anything, so we got a gate, and he had to stay downstairs. And that was really hard on us because now he's alone throughout the night, and even when we're not there during the day or something like that, he can't roam the entire house like he used to. And the thing is, he was very jumpy, and he's a dog. He didn't really understand, the pain he was in or the circumstances, so he was still going to run around and stuff. He wasn't going to pace himself. But that was the first thing that happened. Now, the second thing that happened was he got glaucoma, and one of his eyes, he was unable to see in it, and he had to get surgery, and the eye got taken out. So now, about the age of 8, this poor dog has had 2 surgeries. Now, a little earlier this year, in January or February, he got cancer, and it stemmed from one of the toes on his right paw, and that had to get amputated. And thankfully, after some antibiotics, it started healing, and he was good for a couple months. Until 1 or 2 months ago, he started breathing very heavily. He started losing energy. He wasn't running around anymore. He was constantly in pain. We took him to the vet. Turns out this cancer had spread to his lungs. It was there. It was just in minute cells or something like that. And, it was pretty rough. It was hard to see him suffer because what they tell you online and what so many of our friends who'd lost pets told us is that your pet is due to be put down when they stop eating, they stop drinking, and Chase never did that because, as you'll know from later on, he loved his food. That was his big thing. He loved to eat. But in this case, we could genuinely tell he was decaying away. He had no energy anymore. He was not the same pup that we adopted. And for most of us, we were trying to be strong. It was very hard on my mom. And obviously it was very hard on me. It was very hard on all of us. But the truth is, it's life. And you have to put the needs of others before themselves. You have to think logically in these cases. And putting him down was what was best for him. He was around 10 and a half years old now. And for Cocker Spaniels, that's a typical lifespan because they're a purebred. They suffer a lot of issues just from nature. Now, it's really difficult looking back because To the core, when you adopt a dog or you adopt anyone, people who don't have pets will argue, oh, it's an animal, it's not the same. But it becomes the same. These are dogs and cats and everyone who devote their being to being your pet. And you're all they know. They love you unconditionally because they don't take in emotions the same way humans do. So they don't hold grudges. If you accidentally step on their tail or something, they'll be scared in the moment, but they're not going to hold a grudge and treat you differently. You know what I mean? Humans have the tendency to do that because, once again, we're only human. And this was the first loss I've had in my life, and it was very difficult. I processed it very differently in the moment when the lady came. You know, I tried to be strong. It was very difficult on my family. I was helping her and stuff. But the second he closed his eyes, that was, oh my gosh, that was a difficult sight. Now, for a little more context, I'd begged for a dog since basically I was born. I've always loved animals, and growing up I always wanted to be a veterinarian. Maybe still do, who knows? But I love animals. Cats, dogs, birds, anyone. But nonetheless, what's very notable is that Chase was actually my present for Christmas when I was 8 years old. I was coming out of the YMCA. If you're not from Canada, or I don't know if they have it in America, but it's an after-school program. And I'm in the third grade as of right now in elementary school. And I'm coming out with my little brother. And my parents are oddly late to pick me up this night. Normally, they're coming 5:30 p.m. It's 8 o'clock. Everything's closed. I'm waiting outside with the YMCA supervisor. And finally, my parents come. They're being very nonchalant as they're walking through the hall with me. And I open the car door. This adorable little fluffy dog. He hadn't got a cut or anything because he was still a pup, but he was so jumpy, so much energy, and he jumped on to me, gave me kisses all over, and just like that, we named him Chase in the car ride back to our house. And the reason for that is because I loved Paw Patrol. Paw Patrol is this kid's show, and it stars 6 different pups. They sometimes have cameos with other dogs, and then this random boy who just so happens to be like a millionaire or something. I don't know where he gets the funding for this, but he has some tower, and they just, like, all the dogs have different things. Like, one of them's for construction, one of them's a police dog, one of them's a fire dog. And it's really cool. And my favorite was Chase because their portrayal of, like, a baby German Shepherd, it was the cutest thing in the world. Yeah, I think it's really difficult to process losing someone, and you're never really gonna get to a point where it feels entirely better because undeniably something's different. And people who say they take change well, maybe you do, but no one can ever truly accept change, in my opinion. I don't know. I think the way I'm looking at it is something is never the same, and there's different ways. Like, when you accept a bad grade, you move on. When you accept that you got fired from a job, you move on. But you don't really move on from losing someone. They're always going to be like, there's going to be shadows of them in whatever you do through the day. Like, my dog, he loved food. He loved food so much. It was this whole thing. And anytime in the kitchen, I'd be making something. I'd be cutting fruit or something. The second I drop something on the ground, I am like, just by reflex, I am zooming down to pick it up. But a couple days ago, I was making waffles in the morning, and batter fell on the ground, and I freaked out because there was chocolate in it. And I jumped down to clean it, and then suddenly it's just quiet. I don't hear a caller. I don't hear a bunch of footsteps because he's not here anymore. He's not here to come take the food. And that's when it really hit me like, oh my gosh, I'm never going to forget this because he was such a big part of my life. It's a matter of routine. It's the same thing as when you lose someone in a relationship sense. When someone becomes routine, whether it's every day or every week or every month, just on a consistent basis, it becomes so weird when they're not there anymore. Because you don't realize it in the moment, but they play such a crucial role in who you are. What you decide to do throughout the day, how you decide to approach things. And it's really cool looking back. But I saw this one reel. It was of Elmo and Andrew Garfield. And for those of you who don't know, I mean, you definitely know Andrew Garfield. He's an actor. He's Spider-Man in The Amazing Spider-Man. Probably one of the greatest actors of all time, I'd be willing to argue. Now, he lost his mother, and he got on with Elmo from Sesame Street, and he was just talking with Elmo. And basically, he was telling Elmo what happened, and Elmo was very sorry. But then Andrew Garfield mentioned that it's okay to miss someone, and he thinks that it's good. Because obviously, when someone passes away, it's their time. Sometimes it's very unfortunate, and it was something that never should have happened. But in other cases, it's what was best for them, the healthiest option for them. And that's good. But I think it's difficult not to be selfish in those cases, in a matter of, I wish they were still here. I wish it wasn't like this. And what Andrew Garfield mentioned was that it's good to miss someone because it shows that you really, really cared about them. And that stood out to me for a long time. I hit the repost button so fast. Ruined all the repost aura I had on my TikTok. But anyways, yeah, I agree. I think it's very good to miss someone because it shows that you're so capable of caring to someone to the extent that their disappearance genuinely changes how you feel throughout the day. And I think that's a really awesome thing that humans have gotten to this point. Nonetheless, if any of you have suffered loss recently, I want to come on here and say it's okay. I think it's important to grieve, and it's important to let yourself feel emotions in however way you want. There's no right way to getting over the loss of someone or something. But for that matter, I think what is important is at some point you should be willing to move forward. And you should never aim to forget this person, but you should aim to find the good in what they did for you and carry on with that. So now I have a very good habit of cleaning up the kitchen floor straight away, but you get the point. If you made it to this point, thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate it. He used to interrupt my videos all the time, and I'd get so angry, and those are times I'm really gonna miss. You don't realize those things in the moment. In the moment, you're like, I just really want him to stop barking right now, because he hears like the mailman or something outside. But those are precious moments, and you never really appreciate them until they're gone. So that's what I'm gonna work on going forward. I'm gonna try to appreciate every little thing I can. Now we have another dog. We actually got him, or her rather. Her name's Bailey. We got Bailey so Chase wouldn't be alone when he was downstairs, and they got really close. And she's taking it very hard though, because Chase grew up in an environment where he got all the attention, but Bailey grew up in an environment where the attention was shared with Chase. So she became very reliant on him for emotional support whenever we weren't around, and she's taking it very hard. So if any of you are in a similar situation, I'd love some advice. We're really being there for her, but she won't play with any toys she used to play with. She won't sleep in the same bed because she associates everything with him. And it's so crazy, the psychological perspective of these animals. It's so crazy. But anyways, I think I got everything I want to say. Thank you so much for listening. Once again, I really appreciate that. Feel free to comment down below any situations. I'd love to talk to you guys. I also have a Discord. You can come talk to me about your pets or anyone you've lost. I'd love to hear it. But nonetheless, thank you and goodbye.